I wanted to also touch on the training. Again, if someone's got a smaller unit now, they're upgrading to something like this. You said, what did you say about what's it called when you Ewing it out, or bowling it out? When you said it's like you suck instead of a
so belling out the
belling
hole.
out, belling out. Yeah. So to avoid things like that, what is sort of the approach if someone at the show they get it and away they go? Is there a sort of a training? How do you sort of ensure right use of application?
So one of the questions we've gotten this week is kind of what's the difference between you and this product or this product? And one of the answers is the Ditch Witch Dealer Network. And so typically speaking, in the large truck back market, you're finding retailers who are very good people, but they maybe have limited locations. Maybe they're not necessarily brand loyal, and so they'll have different models there that they're servicing. We've had some people come in and say something like, I bought a truck from this guy in this area, and when I called back to get a filter for my blower, he didn't even know what it was. And so they're selling something to have a product in the market, but they're not necessarily the manufacturers of that product. They don't necessarily understand all the uses of that product. And so the advantage you get from a Ditch Witch dealer is there's always going to be one nearby. You're going to get the same consistent level of service across the board. You're going to know who to call, have a relationship with them, and then you can get the training. I mean, things like we're talking about belling out a hole for micro trenching, that's something that our dealers are uniquely positioned to train on because we have a full micro trench solution. And so that's the advantage and the value you get whenever you buy from.
So when I come to do these interviews, a lot of times I'll get little notes, and I saw one. It says "daylight" with a question mark. Can you explain this? And I don't even know what it's referencing.
Yeah,
I hope you do.
So there's things that we do that are kind of jargon that we talk about, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, you know what that is," but then when you're not in the industry every day, you don't always know. So potholing, daylighting, exposing utilities, those are all interchangeable terms. Basically what you're doing is you're taking a utility that's under the ground and you're exposing it to daylight by taking all the dirt off the top of it. That way you know exactly where that utility is. When you're doing utility locates, what you're doing is you're putting a field onto that utility, and you're reading that magnetic field. That's very accurate, and it's a very good way to do it, but it's not as precise as actually exposing the utility and then seeing it yourself. And that's what we want people doing, particularly when they're on a job site boring. We want you to bore down to the depth of your bore, expose that utility, and then you're watching that bore head go through past that utility, under it, over it, however you're doing that. But you want to make sure you see it safely pass. And to do that, you have to daylight or expose one.
So would that tie in? How does this product tie in with some of your other products, or is this sort of a standalone unit?
Well, that's the beauty of it, is it can be a standalone unit, so it's going to bring in a new market for us that we haven't always touched. But also, one of the things that we're focused on as a product management team and as a company as a whole is a total job site solution.
Right.
And so when you go on to a underground construction job site, we want to have a solution for everything, whether it's locating it, whether it's repairing it, whether it's putting it in the ground, whether it's exposing it. We want to have something that if you're thinking about putting pipe in the ground or working on an underground utility, you're thinking Ditch Witch. And so that fits into this portfolio nicely.